Yesterday I went to see the movie Disclosure Day, and I don't think I've seen a movie that's woken me up since Braveheart, because there's something inside of you that is triggered when you watch a movie that is about truth. Most people aren't ready for the truth. If we take COVID as an example, most people went and got vaccinated. 81% of the population took a vaccine based on fear. Now, any religion that is spouting fear in their books, why is that setting you free? Because fear starts in the mind, and that's where the belief starts. The belief starts in the mind. The belief starts from the first 7 years of your life, 7 being the appropriate number. 7 years, and you indoctrinate someone with the same belief system for 7 years, it's very hard to unprogram that unless you get things to remember you or trigger you. That's why religion's a trap. We are not alone. And I want you to discern that. I want you to think about it, because if you look at the other religions, if you take religion as an example, you've got Christianity, you've got Judaism, and you've got Muslim, like the three biggest religions. Judaism and Christianity don't talk about the dark side. They just talk about the devil, and they talk about God. The Muslim faith talks about the jinn. And you've got maybe, I think, 9 different types of jinn. So they're the closest to the 8 ball, let's say, but they don't believe in consciousness. So you see, every religion is manipulated for them to say, oh, we have the best God, we have the best prophet. But wait till everything is disclosed, i.e., the truth about the extraterrestrials. Oh, no, it's rubbish, it's rubbish. Well, there's been 1 million files covered up of blatantly obvious evidence of extraterrestrials and the spacecrafts. So that's for your discernment. That's for your truth. And an emotional wave comes in 7 years. So I look at the first time COVID came, this huge psyop. It was a battle for the soul of the person, and almost destroyed. Well, it did destroy some people. People lost their businesses, but then you saw how religion is so separated when you take money into account. Or I had a good friend who lost all this money, and he was a really good Muslim, and then suddenly he wasn't a good Muslim anymore. But I'm not just saying it's just that faith. I'm just saying about every other faith. I can see Christians. A guy that came to me and said, this guy who'd been working in the government and who was his priest for 10 years, and the priest said that he could make his life hell if he didn't follow his orders. So it's every religion, this fear, fear. So we're coming up to 7 years of COVID. Now, as I said, I can see people, maybe 80, 90% of people were wearing masks in Jakarta during COVID. But now, when there's this other, depending what movie you're watching, of course, depending what news media that you're, if you're still looking for answers in the news, you're brain dead. I'm sorry, you're brain dead. Because they've not told you the truth for the past 1,000 years, let's say, when they've been broadcasting it. Remember when I was, I'm not saying you remember, but there was words of this town crier that someone would just come out and say, okay, there's a road being built next week. He'd ring his bell, and then like everyone would say, okay, there's a road being built next week. And if the road wasn't built, they would go to the town crier and say, hey, you told us a lie. But if the road is being built, there's no lie. So how many liars are there in politics? How many liars there are in the medical profession? How many liars are in the fitness profession? How many liars are there in every profession? Now, if you're still stuck listening to these people and with their broken promises, that's what's that's what you're gonna get reflected back at you. So if the energy exchange isn't equal, why are you even there? Your energy is not free. You're just working yourself into a frenzy because all it takes is I'm not working for you anymore. I've said this in 4 occasions, I think, in my lifetime, in this lifetime, but I'm sure I said it in many other occasions because I won't stand for bullshit. The guy, like, I think 10 years ago, he said to me, he said, oh, you are, it's less than that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He said, I want you to do X, Y, Z. And I said, yeah, I don't have time for that. Yeah, but that's what we pay you for. I goes, we don't pay me enough for that anyway. And he goes, well, I still want you to do that. And I says, well, you need to find someone else. He says, what do you mean? I says, stick your fucking job up your arse. Then another guy, like, oh, Ron, you're going to have to take the vaccine. You want to go back to work? I said, right, I'd rather not go back to work. And another guy, oh, not too recently, not too long ago, oh, I want you to come back and work in this operation and start training my staff. And I said, what, training your staff your way or my way? Because my way is evidence based. Because I've been in that situation, I've managed to find a better way and find a better way for this fitness industry that has been lying to you. Oh, but wait till you find out. I mean, wait till you find out the truth about everything. Because once you find the truth, it's a fucking avalanche. It never stops. It just keeps on coming at you. And then there is another door open for you to go through, and you go, wow, this is a lot clearer. So I can walk about anywhere and just be clear. And as I said, we go back right back to this movie. I remember when Braveheart was first shown, and there's many awakening movies like Independence Day, Braveheart. Oh, the list is endless. Every movie has a message in it. So this Disclosure Day, yeah, had a message. But going back to Braveheart, I came out of the cinema with two mates of mine after watching that movie. You know, walking down the street, we had this English guy speaking. One of my mates went up and punched him in the face. So I was like, what the fuck? That's like, but he just was such an independent guy, and he was fighting for his freedom. So because of his past life, if you watch this movie Disclosure, I think 80% of the population have had some form of memory that keeps them coming back to them, that they remember things intuitively, or they get like a dream and like it's going, oh, it's really weird. Oh, how did I meet this person? I'm sure I've met this person before in a past life. That's what this movie's about. It's about getting back and connecting to nature, getting back to yourself, your true self. Now, when I came out of this cinema yesterday, I was the only one in the cinema. So I goes out on my bike. I've got a small motorbike, and then there's always a blockage on the road. Like, i.e., sometimes they just put a barrier up. You can usually just move the body away, but there's no police around, so who could give a fuck? And then there was these three young guys, and I was moving the the barrier, and I'm a really, it takes a lot to rattle my cage, but the movie, because I don't watch movies, I don't watch TV, I don't watch anything, and I just watch things on YouTube that resonate with me. I don't watch fear and doom and gloom shit. Why would I? Oh, drama, fucking. There's enough drama going on in everyone's life, so why do I want to watch it? So this three young guys, maybe about 17, 18. It's a bloody, it's a cycle lane. It's for bikes. Can't you see it's for bikes? And something inside me, I said, do you want to live in a prison planet? Do you want to live in a prison planet? And as I went back to move it again, can't you see it's a cycle lane? Totally mindswag. Some of the young generation, it's all programmed fear, fear, because that was the parents. Oh, COVID, you got to get a job. And it was just so like drama, drama, drama. People were like at the zebra, like the crossing, and I just like sort of moved the barrier. There was no traffic going that way, so I parked my bike and I went back to the young guy and I says, "You're a fucking idiot. Stick to the rules." Now, living in Indonesia has its advantages, and everyone in one way, shape, or form have broken the rules. They went down a street and this and that because they they fought for their independence. They fought for their freedom. But it's funny how the younger generation have been programmed back. They all start by wear a mask, 5 feet or 6 feet between 6 feet between each other. If you look at the Earth's, if you look at the body's auric field, as above, so below, you connect to Mother Nature, which I do every day, and you will get energy from the land. So, as I say, if you look at the Earth's auric field, this is where you get your energy from. You don't get your energy from a mask. You certainly don't get energized through eating copious amounts of food. 3 meals a day, come on. It's a program. Buy more, keep yourself stupid. Dumb yourself down because they poison the food, they poison the water, they poison your mind, and they poison you with deodorants and shampoos. Not that I have a problem with shampoo. Um, and you still buy into it. So this young punk pushed my trigger because of the movie. And if this video manages to get to him in one way, shape, or form, I do apologize for that outburst. But I would advise you or anyone to go and see this Disclosure movie because it is should be the great awakening for the masses that are tired of this 7-year cycle. It's funny they put a like a pandemic or a pandemic, let's call it for what it is, because there's no such thing as a virus. Can't remember. One of the scientists says, "If I'll give anyone in this room $100,000 if they can prove to me that a virus does exist." Of course, he's one of the whistleblowers. He's one of the 10% that actually stood up for humanity and realized that this was a war of the mind, because disclosure was supposed to be back in the 70s, but they killed JFK and managed to suppress it with the other puppets they put in there. But at least the guy is in there is actually doing something, because he's not putting his troops on the ground. He's not actually putting lives at risk for the American soldiers. But okay, there are people dying, but that's that's for their country to work it out, because there's two warring factions. One warring faction is looking after the wealth, and the other one is fighting for their freedom, just like this country did. You can only take so much. You stand up and you go out and gather enough troops, and then you say no more. So I think this is what's going to happen with this Disclosure movie. So it's a wonderful time to be alive. So take care.